Christ Jesus lives today. Walks with me and talks with me. Along life's narrow way. He lives, he lives. Salvation due in part. You ask me how I know. He lives within my heart. That's a good one right there. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is the Midday Connection. Baby. How y'all is? Come on in. The water's fine. I want to talk about this very hot subject today on tithing as it pertains to your stimulus check. Okay? Sorry, y'all. I was doing stuff, and it's all on my lips now. I'm not flirting with y'all. It's just all on my lip. It's all on my lips now. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Marlon. Good to see you, Tobias, and good to see you, Hunt. And who's this? BW and Carl and Davida. Whole lot of y'all here. Kenny. Your stimulus check could possibly be coming to you in a few days from now. All right. The government has issued a whole lot of help for many of you. Tamara, good to see you. The government has issued a couple $1 trillion plan to help you restore what you lost. Paycheck protection plans, PPP, the small business loans. The SBA is issuing things to help you. They're offering you a $10,000 loan with a forgivable clause there if you follow the rules. All right. Many of you are, have opportunity. Those of you who are part of the gig economy, whether you do Lyft or Uber, whether you're a songwriter, whether you got a sweeping company, and just you, all these things, the government is now ready to bail you out. All right. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that if you did not pay taxes prior to now, it would be difficult for many of you. Number two, if you did pay taxes, then you're on the record and they will direct deposit you. Understand? They will direct deposit you and you will get your stimulus check. If you did not, if you do not have direct deposit, then the check will be mailed to you and you won't get it for a long time. So if you're depending on that $1,200, good luck. Understand? Yes, Vontra, I'm in my bunker right now. Good luck. All right. So what you need to do is at the end of this month, at the time of this recording, we're in the middle of April. I don't know where we are. Around April 30th, May 1st, they're going to roll out a website. Fingers crossed. And then you go to the website and then you put in your banking information. You understand? I know y'all already talking about the Tithe thing. I'm going to get there in a minute. I'm trying to help the people out. All right? You go to the website and you put in your banking information and then you can get your check sooner. Yes. Everybody's saying the same thing. And I'm going to get there in a minute. Okay? And then you can get your check. All right. Enough of that. Let's talk about the tithe. I'm not here to fight with any of you. None of you. Usually when I do these shows, I get people who come on here and they don't hear a word I have to say because you're so caught up in your tradition. Want, Charlie Brown's teacher. That's what you're hearing because you were raised and stuck on a system. Thank you, Beatrice. It's April 13th. You're stuck on a system. All right? So I'm going to thank you. Felicia says the site is already available. Go there now and put in your banking information. Now, let me tell you, that money will dry up. If you go for it, weeks later it says the government is giving us all this money, so I'll get mine in a week or two. Let me tell you this, that money will dry up. And by the time you go there, it's gone. First come, first serve. You understand? That's why they're saying we need to do this bailout again because it's not enough money. All right, so you wait all you want to. This is why you in the bind that you're in now because you were waiting when I told you to invest 5 years ago. I told you to put some money away 5 years ago, and you didn't do it, all right? And you were leaning on your 9 to 5. I told you that 5 years ago. Do not lean on your 9 to 5 for 100% of your income. You must have multiple streams of income coming in, and I showed you how to do that. All right, so it's too late for some of you. So some of you are going to sit on this, and you're going to find yourself out there in the alley. All right, so I'm not here to fight. I'm here to teach you. I have Bible text here. I've got a lot of text here in the scriptures. So pull out your pen and pull out a piece of paper, and you can write this down, or grab your Bible or your phone if you're not watching me on your phone, and read this text for yourself. Be like the Berean church and read this for yourself so that you won't keep coming back to me saying he's wrong, he's a fake, he's an entertainer, and he lives in his bunker. Okay? And this is why so many black folks are broke today. Keep giving Pastor Parker, Christine, I ain't fighting. I ain't fighting. All right? So after this show is over, you can continue to disagree with me. But what you're going to do once I read all of this text is, if you disagree with today's show, you're disagreeing with the text that I'm reading. So what you need to do then is add to the text. And in the book of Revelation, God says what's going to happen to you once you start adding to the text. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? So I'm going to read from the text. Because usually when I do these shows, I do read the text. But I don't go into deep text reading because it's too much time to be taken. All right? So fight with me after the show. And when you make your own video and talk about what I said, put my video next to you. You understand? Thank you. Felicia is putting the site there for you so that you can go to the irs.gov/coronavirus/non-filers enter payment information. All that is there. And just Google everything I just said. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and Google or everything I just said. Rewind this, and it's right there for you. Thank you, Felicia. You're a blessing. All right. Let's talk about the stimulus check and what is it. A tithing and the stimulus check, and how should you tithe from the stimulus check. All right. I'm going to sound like I'm back and forth, but if you stay with me, it's about 50 of you here. If you stay with me, you'll get the whole bunk of it all. Okay? All right, here it is. Throughout the text, we see, throughout the Old Testament, I'll read it, is that God was very, very specific on what people needed to do with their how do I say this? It's kind of hard to say it because the way y'all have turned tithing into money, so I can't say income, because tithing was not necessarily income. It was a harvest of your crop. The problem with many of your tithe teaching is that you're trying to put crop with income as if these people had no money back then, and that's what the problem is. I keep doing these shows where I keep telling you there's so much money in the Bible, whether it was a widow's mite, or whether it was a drachma, or whether it was the penny, whether it was the money in the fish's mouth. Jesus said, "Pay your tithe, your taxes. What's rendered that which is Caesar's." The drachma. It's all kind of money in the Bible. So much money there, right? As a matter of fact, in the Old Testament, I'm gonna show you where God mentions tithe, and then He mentions money. All right. So what y'all are doing today is wrong, but it's not going to send you to hell. But what God is going to do is punish you for teaching it wrong. I believe He's going to judge you for teaching this thing wrong. You can do whatever you want to do with your money. That's up to you. I'll talk about the church and what you should do for the church now that the church is closed. I will talk about that. You understand? All right, I agree tithes on everything. All right, I can't read y'all what y'all doing, because then that's why my shows are 2 hours long, and then y'all get to fighting because I'm reading y'all stuff. Okay, all right. So here is where we see tithing pop up, and it is described explicitly by who God is talking to. Understand? Whenever somebody brings you to Malachi chapter 3. they don't bring you to Malachi chapter 2. They don't. I'm not going there right now. You can do that later on. But when you go to Malachi chapter 2, it says, and this is to you priests. Understand? I'm talking to you priests. What you tithe teachers have done was you erased priest and you put everybody in there, and then you led them to Malachi chapter 3. And Tobias, that's right. And he says to you corrupt priests. They were corrupt. So when you tell people to tithe by Malachi chapter 3, you're talking to a corrupt audience. You understand? You're talking to a corrupt audience. And you're telling them to pay this tithe. They're not priests. Understand? All right? And then when you bring them to chapter 3, then you take them through this expose. You are in error, and you should stop that, because you never take them to the beginning of where God tells them the system of tithe. They've never read this. So by the time you take them to Malachi chapter 3, you did not give them the answer to what 1 + 1 is, 2 × 2 is. No, you took them straight to trigonometry. You told them to build this house. You didn't teach them how to count up the cost. You took them over here to build this monstrosity or solve this mathematical equation, but you didn't tell them the formula here, how to formulate numbers. You understand what I'm saying? So when you bring them to Malachi 3, God is already punishing. But you didn't bring them to the beginning on where God gave the law. You understand? So if you would stop doing that and bring them to where I'm getting ready to take you, then the people would understand what tithing really was. And once they get the idea of what tithing really was, then whatever they want to do with their money, they can still give to your church. And believe it or not, if you teach giving the way I've been trying to teach you, your offerings wouldn't be as low as they are. Understand? If you teach giving the way I've been trying to tell you to teach to the people, you would not have financial problems in your church. No, you would not. No, you wouldn't. Because if you tell them the truth, they will give more. You understand? Because once they feel that they are a part of something, then they will make sure they take care of that which they are a part of, without you putting compulsion and fear and cursings on them. Once you tell them the truth, the people will comply, because it's an asset that they decided to buy into. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Paul Rogers, good to see you. All right, so Numbers, let's turn here, y'all. Numbers chapter 18. There's 4 ways to tithe. You're only teaching one way to tithe. You tithe teachers, you're only teaching one way, and you yourself robbing from God. When you tell the people that you're robbing from God, you yourself is robbing from God, because you're only teaching them one way to tithe. Malachi chapter 3. Number 2, you only tell them to give 10%. Tithing is not just 10%. Tithing adds up to 23%. So if you're only giving 10% of a tithe all year, you are robbing God yourself, and you pointing the fingers at the people because they're not giving, and you're not giving, or you're under giving. If you're going to tithe by the law of tithing, Malachi 3 is a law. It is not a free will, nothing. It's a law. Because if it was not a law, God would not have told them that he would curse them. So many of you are doing it under the curse of the law. Then some of you will take me to Genesis 14, which I will read, and it says, no, it's voluntary. All right, let's talk about the voluntary law. Not law, but the before the law. Let's talk about the way Abraham tithe. I'm all over the place. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so here it is. Numbers chapter 18. And again, many of you will disagree with this show, and it's sad. Even though I'm reading the word, it's a whole lot of eisegeting going on. Yeah, it's sad. Y'all get so mad at me when I do tithing shows. Y'all get so mad. And the ones who are getting mad the most are pastors. Why? Because you're shell-shocked. They closed down your business, and you're shell-shocked. And I'm seeing videos where people are putting up pictures of the saints in the benches. There's videos popping up where pastors are being surprised, where they're putting pictures of the saints in the seats so that the pastor can now preach to empty seats, but he's looking at the faces. Y'all know what that is? That's the old folk homes theology. That's something going on right here. That's a problem. He's shell-shocked. He don't know what to do with himself. He's got to look at pictures. Okay, here's what Numbers 18 and 20 says. And the Lord said to Aaron, you priests. Man. Yes, Tam, the priest of Nehemiah was stealing the tithe. That's all. Yeah, they were stealing it. Look what he said here. Numbers 18 and 20. He says, and the Lord said to Aaron, you priests will receive no allotment of land or share of property among the people of Israel. I am your share and your allotment. I set up the 12 tribes of Israel, and all of them got land. I'm blessing them. They could enlarge their territory. You cannot. Stop telling the people to enlarge their territory. He wasn't talking to you. He was talking to Shabazz. What is his name? Shabazz, whatever his name is, okay? That was to him. That wasn't to you. If you're paying a tithe, you're not supposed to be receiving. You're not supposed to own land. You tithe receivers, you who are pastors out there and you receiving a tithe, you do not have an inheritance. You're not supposed to have these big houses. You're not supposed to have all this land and all this stuff. No, God says you work in the temple. Thank you, Jabaz. You work in, he sounds like a Muslim, don't he? You work in the temple, and God says, I will take care of you there. So all of you out there who are crying because the church is closed and then the tithes can't come in to take care of your needs, and you go home with all this posh house and land and all this stuff, you are in sin because you're trying to teach from an old doctrine here through the law, and then you're choosing bits and pieces of the law. But God says if you break one law, you've broken them all. It's 613 of them suckers. So you're trying to pick and choose from bits and pieces of the law to make you feel comfortable, and then you erase all of the other stuff. That's what he's saying here. He says, I am your share and your allotment. I will take care of you. All right? So he says, as for the tribe of Levi, your relatives. Y'all saying that we musicians are the Levitical tribe. No, we're not. I'm not a Levite. I'm a musician who happens to work in a church. All right? That's what I do on the weekend. That's what I do on the weekend. Outside of that, I'm an ordained elder. I'm a minister of the gospel. And I witness to those on the street. I give to the poor. I do all this other stuff. I'm not a Levite. I'm not a part of this thing here. There is no national temple. There is no national tabernacle temple, whatever, okay? And these Jews today got it right. They're saying, what are y'all doing? There is no national temple. There are no Levites sitting in there operating and doing what they're doing. Y'all keep transferring this Old Testament stuff to the New Testament church, and you wonder why things ain't working for your favor. You at home right now, and your life's about to get turned off. They're about to take your car. Why? Because you were trying to push an Old Testament law into a New Testament church, and you're getting ready to lose everything. This coronavirus has exposed your hypocrisy. As for the tribe of Levi, your relatives, I will compensate them for their service in the tabernacle. Instead of an allotment of land, I will give them the tithe from the entire land of Israel. I'll take care of the Levites in the church. He says from now, and I'm saying church, it's the tabernacle, it's not really a church, but I'm going to say church because this is the way y'all was teaching it. From now on, from right now, here's Numbers 18. He says, from now on. This is not Malachi 3. It's too late. Take them over here when you read this on Sundays. He says, from now on, no Israelite except priests and Levites may approach the tabernacle. Don't y'all go to church every Sunday? I'm reading this. Y'all should be reading this with me, because y'all won't think that I'm making this up. He says, from now on, you're not supposed to approach the tabernacle unless you are a priest and a Levite. Don't y'all go to church every Sunday and go into the tabernacle? Y'all call y'all churches tabernacle of God, tabernacle apostolic, blah, 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 and y'all in there. Y'all like, no, he just said that for them at that time. That's only one time, and then no, wait to what he's getting ready to say. He say, if they come too near, they will be judged guilty and will die. Only the Levites may serve at the tabernacle, and they will be held responsible for any offenses against it. Y'all like, no, that's temporary. I'm going to continue to read. He said, this is a permanent law for you. Oh, to the we. This is a permanent law for you to be observed for generations to generation. The Levites will receive no allotment of land among the Israelites, because I have given them the Israelites' tithes, which have been presented as sacred offerings to the Lord. It's sacred. This will be the Levites' share. That is why I said they would receive no allotment of land among the Israelites. So again, if you're receiving, they call it the temple. Yeah. So if you are receiving tithe, and you got land, and you got a nice piece of property, you are in sin. Yeah. If we are disciplined, handle our finances and invest in, I gotta keep going. The Lord also told Moses, give these instructions to the Levites. When you receive from the people of Israel the tithes I have assigned to your allotment, give a tenth of the tithe you receive. Now he says, now, when the people bring a tithe to you, I'm about to say money because y'all got me all jacked up. When the people bring a tithe to the Levite, okay, 10% of their crop went directly to the Levite. Understand? Then he says, give a tithe to, he says, a tithe of the tithe to the Lord as a sacrifice offering. He says, when they give it to you, you Levites, then you take 10% of what you just got and feed this guy. Who's that guy? That's the priest. The Lord will consider this offering to be your harvest offering, as though it were the first grain from your own threshing floor, or wine from your own wine press. First fruits. So y'all are putting tithe with first fruits. No. First fruits here, he's saying the Levites are giving a first fruits. He wasn't talking to the general audience. He says, you must present 1/10 of the tithe received from the Israelites as a sacred offering to the Lord. This is the Lord's sacred portion, and you must present it to Aaron, the priest. Be sure to give to the Lord the best portion of the gifts given to you, you Levites. So when the people give you their 10%, you take the best of that, 10% of it, and give it to the priest so that brother can eat. Understand? Also give these instructions to the Levites. He keeps saying, these are my instructions to the Levites. These are not my instructions to the general public. These are not my instructions to what y'all call the laity. This is not my instruction to all these people who's in there. No, this is my instructions to the Levites. When you present the best part as your offering, it will be considered as though it came from your own threshing floor and wine press, as if you own land, as if you are a farmer. I will receive it like I receive all these other farmers. I'm going to act like you are a farmer. So when you give this priest your portion, I will act like you got inheritance out there. That's what he's saying here. You Levites and your families may eat this food anywhere you wish, for it is your compensation for service in the tabernacle. So I'm feeding you, or I'm taking care of you, or I'm paying you for working in the tabernacle. So, like Amber says, y'all are calling your churches temple. All right? So, y'all got tabernacle on the door. Union Tabernacle, this tabernacle, okay? So if y'all going, what's in the name? So if that's a tabernacle, you don't belong in there. Shame on you. So y'all said, well, we're going to call it a temple. Well, I got more reading to do here. This is, yeah, okay. You will not be considered guilty for accepting the Lord's tithe if you give the best portion. All right. Now, there's a Levitical tithe. There's a priest tithe. There's a tithe to the poor. Then there's a tithe that you give to yourself. We're getting ready to get to the stimulus check. Understand? Because what is a tithe? A tithe is what you collect from your working. Understand? Y'all saying increase. Help me find that in the text where the initial reason for tithing, all right? Because y'all saying increase. How did you get the increase? Did somebody give it to you? That's the problem with the tithing teaching today. Y'all saying, well, it's an increase. How did you get the increase? If somebody gave it to you, then that increase does not belong in a tithe. I'll show you in a minute. Increase means you worked for it. Farmers get paid for sowing. They sow in the ground and they reap, all right? And then they sell their crop. And then they pay a tithe on that crop. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all transferred it to today, all right? So you work on your job, you get a paycheck, and then you took 10% of that check, and then you give it to the church. That's what it is. But if I give you $10 because I love you, you do not tithe on that $10. That is not that increase that you give on. I gave that to you. You didn't work for that. So if you did give that because you're trying to go up by Malachi chapter 3, then you're doing it wrong, because I'll tell you in a minute. I just helped many of you. Can I give a goat? Maybe some. I just helped many of you. I just helped many of you. Okay. So that's Numbers 18. You got any questions on that? All right. Because I'm getting ready to free y'all's members. And it says no. My answer is no. All right. Here's the next one. Y'all ready to turn to me? Turn with me. Turn to Deuteronomy chapter 14 and 22. Deuteronomy, somebody can put it there. Deuteronomy chapter 14 and 22. This one here might hurt some of you. All right. Again, ask the hard questions to your leaders at church. You're not asking questions. That's why you are poor today, because you're not asking your pastors and these elders and these apostles and these prophets, all right, and the trustees. You're not asking them the hard questions. You just let them tell you whatever you want them to tell you, and you got the Constitution in your home. There's no reason why your elected officials passing laws and doing all these things, and you're ignorant to these laws of the past, and many of them could be unconstitutional, and you have a right to the Constitution in your home. You can Google it. You go to the library. You got it in your hand and you want to read it. And this is why the government was against the Black Panthers, because they understood the Constitution. They knew the ordinances of the town, of that city, of that state. They read it, they understood, but they became a threat to the state, because they were too intelligent, and they were a threat, and that's why the government came and wiped them out. And that's what's happening to some of you in your churches. The Catholic Church did not want you to understand the scriptures for yourself. The priest says, come to me. You can't go to God directly. You got to come to me for the interpretation of the text. Father, forgive me, for I have sinned. The Pope is finally preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, because the parishes are closed. They're closed. So the Pope says, go to God for yourself. The priests ain't available. They're closed. So he's finally preaching the gospel. So what did the Pentecostal church do? You sat up under a pastor who told you got to come here for me to teach you how to give a tithe. And you got the Constitution at home. You got it on your phone. All you got to do is read it for yourself. But you don't want to do it. You are stiff-necked. And that's why you poor today. You don't know what to do now. They're getting ready to shut off everything. And the church is responsible because you sat up in that church for generations listening to one man, one woman, one body, one board to tell you what to do with your money, and nobody in there are financial experts. None of them, nobody in there are financial experts. Nobody in there. They tell you what to do with your body. They tell you what to do medically. You go to church for medical advice. You go to church for financial advice. What are you doing all week long? I'm just so amazed at some of you. And you got it right here. Medical advice is in the Bible. Financial advice is in the Bible. Spiritual advice is in the Bible, but you got it on your desk and you want somebody else to tell you what it says. That's why the coronavirus exposed the church in a great and mighty way. I don't care what y'all saying. Y'all gonna make some more videos of me, ain't you? Yeah, it's control. It's witchcraft. This is Dagon. This is Ashtaroth. This is Jezebelian. So he says here, Deuteronomy 14 and 22. He says, you must set aside a tithe of your crops. 1/10 of all the crops. Now he's not talking to the priest this time. Now he's talking to the general audience. Here's where you come in, okay? Here it is. Here's how you tithe. Here's how they tithe. And here's what y'all did. Y'all brought this in. He says, 1/10 of all the crops you harvest each year. Each year. Y'all are tithing paycheck to paycheck. He said, each year. Oh man, I'm in trouble. Bring this tithe to the designated place of worship. Notice he said here, there is a place where I will tell you where to worship. Y'all bring your tithe to the same place every week. He says, I will tell you every year where to bring it. It's right here. He didn't tell him to bring it to that same place every year. He says, I'm going to tell you where to bring it. Don't just drop it off over there. I didn't tell you to drop it off over there. I'm going to tell you, me, God, where to do it. Oh, man, y'all think y'all got God all worked out. Then he says, the place the Lord your God chooses for his name to be honored. And eat, and then he says, and eat it there in his presence. That's right, y'all. The money that you made, according to the way y'all teach tithe, the money that you just made, he says, I'm going to tell you where to bring it. Where we going to go this year? I don't know, but God's going to tell you. Then God tell you where to bring it. You bring it over there on the corner of Adams and Michigan Avenue. All right? That's where we are going to bring our tithe. He says, now, you see? You got your stuff? Yeah. He says, now, you consume it. Don't give it to nobody. You consume it. Ooh, to the weed. Did y'all hear this? God says, don't give your tithe away. How many times I kept telling y'all to pay yourself? I said, pay yourself. I said, hey, what you doing with your tithe? Well, the tithe belong to the church. I said, do you ever give your tithe to yourself? No, it belongs to the... I said, do you ever give it to the poor people? No, it belongs to the Lord. I said, then you're not reading your Bible. You're not giving it. You're not reading the Bible. He says, pay yourself first. It's called a festival tithe. Yeah, this applies to your tithes. And look how he explained what a tithe is. He says, this applies to your tithe of grain, new wine, olive oil, and the firstborn males of your flock and your herds. Doing this will teach you always to fear the Lord your God. All food products. Jesus says you pay tithe in cumin, sugar, spices, mint, onions, all this stuff. He never mentioned one dime. He says you paying all this stuff in food. He says, and you should do that. According to Deuteronomy, he says you should do that. Then he said, but you're forgetting a weightier matter. You're forgetting a thing. You're forgetting something. What happened to justice? What happened to mercy? What happened to faithfulness? What happened to all that? So it says 24. I'm at 24. Right? He says, Now when the Lord your God blesses you with a good harvest, the place of worship he chooses for his name to be honored might be too far for you to bring the tithe. All right. How many of y'all go to the bank and get a big bushel bag of money? And you put it in your, I got to get this to the church. It's just too heavy. Huh? How many of y'all do that? How many of y'all do that? Go to the bank and tell them, give me all cash. I got to put it in a bushel because I got to take it to the church. He says, if it's too heavy for you to carry, which tells me he can't be talking about money. He got to be talking about food. So he says, if it's too big, too heavy for you to carry, he says, if so, you may sell the tithe portion of your crops and herds, put the money in a pouch. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me all this time leading up to Deuteronomy, he was never talking about money? He was talking about food? All this time, he says, you got all this food. You can't carry it to the place I told you to go, so exchange it for money. Money. All right, so now y'all saying, see, here it is. Here's proof. God says you can also pay tithes in money. Here it is, Brother Jones. We got you. Aha. Aha. You don't know Martin Luther King. Yeah, here it is right here. Aha. I'm like, okay. Let's continue to read it then. He says, put the money in the pouch and go to the place the Lord your God has chosen. All right, you got me on that, y'all. Y'all got me on that. Y'all got me on that. All right, I'll make a retraction. Okay, before I make a retraction, I'm going to keep reading. He said, when you arrive, you may use the money to buy any kind of food you want. Wait a minute. He says, take the money, take it to the place, and don't give me that money. I said, I don't want your money. He said, you need to exchange it back to what I told you originally to put it in, and food. Really? Oh. He says, cattle, sheep, goats, wine, or other alcoholic drink. He says, then feast there in the presence of the Lord your God and celebrate with your household. He says, you can't eat money. You can't eat the money. You got a big bushel of money, and you're getting ready to take it over there. Everybody eating. You can't eat that money. He says, you got to exchange that money for food. This is a festival time. It's food. He says, and do not neglect the Levites in your town. Uh-oh. He says, now, these Levites got to eat too. They got to eat. Then he says, for they will receive no allotment. 28. Uh-oh. He said, at the end of every third year, not every paycheck. Third year, he says, bring the entire tithe of that year's harvest and store it in the nearest town. Y'all said the church is the storehouse. No, it's not. You read Malachi 3 wrong. No, here it is. The nearest town, which we'll call the Levitical towns. He said, give it to the Levites who will receive no allotment of land among you. And then he says, as well as to the foreigners living among you. He said, give it to the strangers. Then he says, give it to the orphans and the widows in your towns so they can eat and be satisfied. Poor people can't eat money. That's why the government gives you a public aid check, food stamps. Why? If they just gave you all money, which they do, because then you got to pay your bills, then you can't eat with just the money. You need food, so they give you stamps so that you can take the stamps to the grocery store, and the grocery store don't charge you taxes when you pay with the food stamp. You understand what I'm saying? So if the item is 99 cents, your item is still 99 cents. There's no tax on top of that because the government is coming from the government. You don't do double tax to the government. But if you paid a dollar cash, for that 99-cent item, it may cost you $1.05, depending on the tax in your state. Y'all understand what I'm saying? This is messed up. He says, orphans, so they can eat and be satisfied, then the Lord your God will bless you in all your work. Now that's Deuteronomy 14. Should I continue? Because many of y'all left because you upset with me right now. You upset with me. I don't care. You upset with God. You ain't upset with me. All right, well, let me continue. That's Deuteronomy. Well, let's see if we can find anything else that you might need. Shall we? Let's go with, here's the thing. It's too much for you to carry. All this food. He says, exchange it. Redeem it for money. Exchange it for money. So you exchange it for money. For money. Now, you take the money and bring it to a place that God tells you to bring it to. Then it says, now redeem it. Y'all know what redeem means, all right? Redeem it for food. And then you take it, and then you did that. Then God says, but I gotta punish you for that. I gotta punish you for that. Leviticus chapter 27. Leviticus chapter 27 and 30. Here's what it says. 1/10 of the produce of the land, whether grain from the fields or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord and must be set apart to him as holy. 31 says, if you want to buy back the Lord's 10th, if you want to buy it back of the grains of the fruit, you must pay its value plus 20%. Count off every 10th animal from your herds and flocks and set them apart for the Lord as holy. You may not pick and choose between good and bad animals. You may not substitute one for another, but if you do exchange one animal for another, then both the original animal and its substitute will be considered holy and cannot be bought back. These are the commandments that the Lord God has given to Moses on Mount Sinai for the Israelites. I don't think y'all understand. So if you had the crop and you exchanged it for money, then you went to the place where God told you, and then you redeemed it back to food, God says, you owe me 20%. Pay me, please. Pay it. So those of you who are paying money as a tithe, according to the teachers, you owe 20% on top of that. Okay, let me help y'all. All right? Hear every word I just said, because if you didn't hear every word I said, you're going to make a rebuttal video and say, see what he said? All right. According to the way y'all are teaching tithe in your church today. Somebody might need to write that there, because they're going to say I didn't say that. According to the way y'all are teaching tithing in your church today. ... If you are paying money to your church, you supposed to add 20% on top of that, according to Leviticus 27. You understand? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay. According to the way y'all are teaching it. Now, I'm going to help the other way out in a minute. All right. Now, y'all saying, we don't teach tithing under the law. We teach tithing under the way Abraham gave a tithe to Melchizedek. Well, I'm glad you do that. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Rogers. Thank you. Okay. 30%. No, Vernon, I said 20. Go to the text, Leviticus 27 and 30. Start there. Okay. 20%. All right. You pay tithe by the way Abraham pays tithe. His name was Abram at the time. All right, no problem. Let's go to Genesis chapter 14 and 1. Good to see you, Victoria Dubois. All right, Genesis 14. Here's how it begins, so you'll understand why Abraham did what he did. He says, about this time, war broke out. Thank you, recipient. The recipient already. I don't know if you she or he. I'm not sure. All right. Okay. About the time war broke out. That's very important. In the region, then the king Amraphel of Babylon, and all these kings started fighting. Right. I'm gonna save you time. They started fighting. Lot, remember, Lot lived over there. Lot was rich. Abram was rich. Lot and Abraham says, this is too big for us. All right, recipient is a he. Blessings to you, recipient. Oh Grace. I love the name. Okay, Lot and Abraham were too wealthy to live together. Abraham says, we got to separate. And Lot says, I'm going to go over here and pinch my tent over there in Sodom, in the Gomorrah area. And Abraham went this way. You understand? Lot gets over there and gets in trouble. Here it is, verse 13 says, but one of Lot's, let me see, where I want to go here. But one of Lot's men escaped. All right, war is going on. And reported everything to Abram the Hebrew, who was living near the oak grove belonging to Mamre and Amorite. All right, war broke out. Abraham's nephew is over there, and one of Lot's men was like, "Hey, your nephew in trouble." When Abraham heard that his nephew Lot had been captured, he mobilized the 318 trained men who had been born into his household. Then he persuaded Kedorlaomer's army he's pursued them. He pursued the enemy's army until he caught up with them at Dan. There he divided his men and attacked them. Okay, and he overtook them pretty much. All right. Then Abraham recovered all the goods that had been taken, and he brought back his nephew Lot with his possessions and all the women and other captives. So the enemy, these kings went and stole from Lot and them and took their possessions. Abraham went and got it back. I'm trying to figure out, is this how y'all get paid? Is this how y'all get paid? Y'all always go into war and then somebody take your income and then you got it back by fighting and getting it back? Is that how y'all? Okay. If that's how y'all get your money, then go ahead and do what they're doing here. Then he says, after Abram returned from his victory over the enemies, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley. A pagan king went to meet the holy man of God. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, and a priest of God, the Most High, brought Abram some bread and some wine. And Melchizedek blessed Abram with this blessing. It says, blessed be Abraham by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. Then Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of all the goods he had recovered. If you're paying by the way Abraham paid, then you are giving the church a recovery from fighting or warring with an enemy. I mean, is that how y'all paying? I mean, the king of Sodom said to Abram, give back my people who were captured, but you may keep for yourselves all the goods you have recovered. Now look what Abraham getting ready to do with the spoil. He gave 10% to Melchizedek. All right. Guess what he's getting ready to do next? Abraham replied to the king of Sodom, I solemnly swear to the Lord God, most high, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal among from what belonged to you. He says, I got all of this stuff. He says, I'm not even going to take it. So the spoil of war, he take 10% and give that to Melchizedek. 90% of it, he gave it away. He gave it back to a pagan king. So if y'all are paying tithe by the way Abraham paid tithe, that tells me you went to war. All right, because somebody took your stuff. And then you went and got your stuff back. Got your money back. Okay, and then you peeled off 10% and gave it to the church, and the 90% of your income, so-called, you gave it away. Man, I don't understand. I don't. All right. Number 2 or 3, I don't know where I am. If you're going to take a custom of the Old Testament, why you only take that custom, but you don't take all the customs? Huh? Why do y'all only take the custom of giving a tithe, and you mess that up, but you don't operate in the other customs of Abraham? Because one custom was his wife Sarah told him to go lay with the concubine. Y'all got concubines in y'all's house? I mean, that was a custom. Anybody? There's a lot of customs going on here that y'all don't practice, but you want to practice that one because it made you feel good. Anybody? I have a book here called The Customs, the Bible Customs of the Jewish People. And when you look in there and see all the things that they did, not because of the law, because of the custom, you be like, oh no, there's no way I do that. Really? So you pick and choose your custom. That's why y'all weak and poor today. That's why you sick in your body today. Let's talk about the stimulus check. I took you all around the world so that I can teach you about what to do with the stimulus check. Okay. Here's the problem that I'm having with you. You keep telling the government and other people that the church is not a business, but that the church is a spiritual body and that we are essential so we can keep our church doors open and we are ruled and regulated by the Lord God above. That's what you're teaching. That's why y'all are getting tickets in the parking lot. That's why the cops are coming to your church and arresting police and all this stuff. Because you keep telling them we are up under the authority of Jesus Christ and not the government. Yet, when you leave that church Monday through Saturday, you say you the church, right? But yet when you go home, you pay your taxes, don't you? You obey the laws of the land, don't you? You drive the speed limit. You stop at the red light, don't you? Okay? You pay your property tax of your home, don't you? You pay your mortgage, don't you? You don't rob. You don't steal. You don't murder, don't you? You obey all of the rules of the land Monday through Saturday until it's time for you to go inside of a building, and then all of a sudden you're sovereign. And then you go down there and register your church as a 501c3 saying that you're sovereign. And then the 501c3 says, no, you're not sovereign because you went to us for help because you don't want to pay taxes. Then now you belong to us. We got you by the cough. We got you. And it says that you are now a creature of the state. So we own you. You're not sovereign anymore. The United States is a sovereign and you up under us. So that's why the police come in and arresting y'all and giving you tickets, and you're going to go down there in the court and try and fight it, and the judge is going to laugh at you. Did not we tell you to shut the church down? We are a sovereign state. Well, tell your God to come down here and talk to me. That's what the judge is going to say. Tell your sovereign God to come down here and talk to me and show me his receipts and his paperwork that he is sovereign over me. But until you do that, pay the ticket. We told you to shut it down. How are you going to obey the law all week long preaching from Romans chapter 13, but Romans chapter 13 don't apply to Sunday morning worship? And then you give me coronavirus. Y'all gave me the corona. I got so sick, I was so sick, man. I was in bed for 5 days straight. Couldn't breathe. I mean, I was having all kind of problems. Why? Because I went to church. This was before the shutdown. And y'all gave me the corona. Okay? Thank God I shook that thing off me. But the church did that. And y'all going to open it up. So you keep telling the government that you're not a business. You are a business. On Sunday, from the hours about 9 o'clock to about 2 o'clock, the church is a business. Yes, you are. You are a business. I just proved it to you that you're a business. Number two, you trying to go down. You're online now. Right now, the church is online right now, trying to get some of that PPP. Yes, you are. You trying to get some of that stimulus money. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you're sovereign, you wouldn't be going after that stimulus money. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I've been on the phone with the churches and the mayor. Then I was on the phone with the churches and the governor. I was on the phone with the jurisdiction, the Church of God in Christ. And all right, I'm on the phone. I'm listening to the conversation, and they are nervous. They are fearful. They're afraid that the church is going to close because they can't pay this, can't pay that. So they're calling the mayors and the governor, says, "Help us, bail us out." Wait a minute. I thought you was sovereign. I'm confused. Number two, aren't your organization a tithe-paying organization? So what happened to the windows of doors opening? Pour you out a blessing, you have no room to receive, and I'm on kill the devourer and all. What happened to all that teaching? Should not the people in your church, and you are prosperity ministry, which means you've been teaching prosperity all this time, and now the church is shut down, and many of your prosperity members are asking the government for a bailout. Wait a minute. I can't understand. If I was the governors and the mayors on the phone, I would say, wait a minute. Y'all are a tithe-paying organization, and you want Pharaoh to bail you out? Don't you live in Goshen? I just don't understand. Did not you put the blood over the doorpost? Did not God tell you the Jews plundered the government of Pharaoh, the Egyptians, and took all that stuff? Isn't that not happening today? I don't understand. So you're going to us for a bailout, and you're saying you're sovereign, but we can't shut you down because there's a pandemic going on? I'm me, the governor, me, Pharaoh, me confused. And here's what's going to happen. If y'all take that government bailout check, guess what's going to happen down the road? You churches, you're going to receive that $10,000 check, and then the government going to say, all right, thank you. Thank you for taking our money. Right? What's going to happen? Down the road, not right now, but down the road, something's going to happen where the government is going to put church and state together. Yes, there is. Actually, that started in 2000, and George Bush actually kicked that off in 2004, I think it is. He kicked it off. All right? I'll have to do a whole show on that. Church and state, he slowly put that together. And now Donald Trump is in the office, and guess what? The church put Donald Trump in the office. You understand? And Donald Trump is abiding by evangelicals' rules and regulations. Yes, he is. So church and state is doing this, and y'all don't even know it. Church and state is doing this because of white evangelicals, and some of you black evangelicals, and some of you black Pentecostals did the same thing. Y'all got him in there, and he's listening. That's why he wanted y'all's churches open on Easter. The evangelicals told him to do that. And this is what's happening to the government and the church. This church and state is coming together. You best believe it, through this administration. When that happens, whatever the government says, whether you 501c3 or not, whatever the government says, you got to abide by it. You can't go to God. You can't. Then you took their money, their stimulus package. When you took that money, they're going to remember you. Oh, let's see now. You don't want to do what we say? Remember back in 2020, 2020 is hindsight, ain't it? Ain't it? Yeah, ain't it, Pharaoh? Yeah, 2020 sure is hindsight. You took that money from us, remember? But it was a loan. Yeah, it was a forgivable loan depending on if you follow the rules. We're going to have to pull this back now. Not only do we want you to pay that money back, but you got to pay it back in interest. Or they're going to tell you, keep the money, we forgive that portion of the loan, but the portion we're not going to forgive is that you are now up under us. We tell you what to do. You went to Pharaoh for the bailout. This is why the government issued marriage licenses. You didn't have to go to the government to get married. No, you didn't. Black folks wanted to marry white folks. White folks wanted to marry black folks. That's why the government started issuing marriage licenses. Prior to that, you didn't have to do that. No, you didn't. The government wasn't in your marriage, wasn't in your business. Even today, you still don't need a marriage license to be married. Y'all ever heard of common law marriage? Y'all ever heard of that? That's called running from a bear into the mouth of a lion. That's it. And then you lean on the Micah. What was it? Micah? Was it Habakkuk? What was we reading? And you lean up on a wall, and then a snake bites you. You think you're safe. What book was that? It was Amos? I think it was Amos. Yeah, he says, yeah, you escape the lion, and then you escape the bear. And Amos says, then you get home, and you're like, whoo, and you lean against the wall, and then the snake bites you. Yeah, so you didn't have to get a marriage license, which means you didn't have to go to the government to get a divorce. I'm trying to tell you this. You didn't have to, because you didn't go to the government for permission to get married. So you don't have to go to the government for permission for divorce or annulment. But you do now, because you went to the government to say, hey, can y'all do this for us, because we need you. So they issue a license. Now, you who are married, you're regulated by the rules of that state, which means that's why there's certain rules in the state, because when you get divorced, then she can either take half of what you have, 75% of what you have, or she can take this, she can take that, blah, 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 because you went to the state, you went to the government for permission to be married. Now you got to go back to them for them to tell you what you need to do in your home. Well, that's the 501c3. Stimulus money is your money that you have given you. Yes. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. So, the stimulus money is already your money. Don't you pay taxes? The government paid you a tithe. And here's what the Bible says about the poor. If you're paying a tithe, or you're giving a tithe to the poor, then the poor don't give a tithe. Who they gonna tithe? They are receiving the tithe. You understand? Poor people didn't tithe in the Bible. You know who else didn't tithe in the Bible? Jesus didn't tithe in the Bible either. Neither did Paul tithe in the Bible. Y'all like, oh, heresy, heresy, heresy. You never find nowhere in the New Testament where Jesus tithed, nor the many of the apostles. They didn't have to tithe. You know why they didn't have to tithe? Can y'all put there in the comment section why they didn't have to tithe? As if a man did flee from a lion. There it is, Amos 5:19. Thank you, Amber. I tell y'all think I'm stupid. You better pay yourself tithe, so when the plague comes again, you'll have something in your own storehouse. Come on, Pitts. Come on, Pitts. Come on. Where's that scripture about the poor people not tithing? Rose says, where's that scripture? I just did it. Rose, I don't know when you got here, Rose Gardner, but you got to go back to my show. I read you all of these things where tithe went to. So, Rose, to answer your question, there's nowhere in the text that says the poor people who receive a tithe got to give it back. Got to give a 10%. Nowhere in the text. Oh, okay, you just joined, Rose Gardner. Good to see you, by the way. All right? Nowhere. The Levites received a tithe. The Levites had to pay a tithe to the priest. Guess what? It never said that the priest had to pay a tithe. It didn't say the priest. So if the Levites gave a tenth to the priest, then what did the priest do with that? He ate it. Okay? So what about the strangers and the widows and the poor? They received the tithe, and they're good. Jesus didn't pay a tithe, nor did Paul pay a tithe, because Jesus was not a crop maker. He was not a farmer. He didn't sow in the ground. He says, y'all pay tithe in these food things. He says, y'all do it. He says, and you should. He never says, I had to do it. He was the son of a carpenter. Paul was a tent maker. You don't pay a tithe on making tents. You understand what I'm saying? Farmers, paid tithes. If you didn't farm, you were not required. The only people who tithed were those who had land, crops, and had animals. That's it. So all you people are being forced to pay a tithe, and you on public aid, and your pastor telling you to pay a tithe off of public aid? Are you kidding me? The government is tithing to you as a poor person. You don't pay a tithe and you receiving it as a poor person. That's heresy. There was no need for Levitical priesthood because Jesus became the mediator between God and man. Come on, recipient. Recipient, I love that name, by the way. Recipient. I love it. All right, so you didn't. So the government gave you a bailout. Did you earn that? Did you go to work and earn that money? Every 3 years, didn't the widows and the orphans receive a tithe? Yeah. Tamara, I don't know what time you got here, but yep, I just read that. 3 years. Right? Now, okay. Let me close the book and let me tell you this. Can we talk practical now? All right. If you decided to come together as a church body and build a church, a building, I'm talking about the building right now, and for years you were giving monies from your paycheck to support the building. Number one, you gave the money to build it. Then you continue to give the money so that it can be maintained. That means pay the mortgage and pay the utilities and pay the salaries. That's good. All right? That's good. Why? Because you decided to come together to do this on your own. Blessings to you, Katie Little. All right? So those of you who are against Sunday worship, y'all sign off right now. I'm talking to the people who are part of the people who decide to worship in a building on Sunday. All right? Let me talk to you, because at the point right here, who the clock keeper? Put the time right here, how long I've been on here. From this point on is the part where people are going to make rebuttals, and this is the part that they're not going to hear me, because they think I'm against the church, they think I'm against tithing, they think I'm against giving offerings, they think I'm against the whole institute, they think I'm against all that, even though I worship every Sunday at a church. All right, they think I'm against all that. So from this point of the video to the end, this is the portion where the people won't hear me. They won't hear me. So clock keeper, can you start the clock? All right, 1 hour. Okay, so let me help you out. From this point on, here's what I want to say to you who have already been given. Continue to give. Why? Here's why. You decided to erect a building. It is now your asset. Understand? It is your asset. You are now a stockholder in that asset. You hear me? You are a stockholder. That means all the money you've been given to that church, the church is open and for you to do whatever you're free to do whatever you want to do in that church within spiritual reason. Okay? So whatever the church offer, you have a right to receive whatever the church have to offer. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever the church have to offer, you have a right. Why? Because you build the church, you're maintaining it, it is your asset, you are a stockholder in that company. Because that church on Sunday is a company. It's a business. You understand? Y'all say it's not a business. Stop lying to me. It's a business. That building is a business. On Monday, you are the ecclesia. You are the ecclesia. Or you're a spiritual body. You're part of the body of Christ in the spiritual aspect. But when it comes to that building, that's a business. You understand? Okay, so if you decide to build that place, that's yours. And if you're going to get money from your job and decide to continue to pay for it, put it in there. Put it in there. That's yours. You understand what I'm saying? Dominica says, yes, the church is a business. Put it in there so when Sunday comes, and a snowstorm come or whatever, all right, or if it's raining cats and dogs, you got a building that you can go in and shelter yourself. You build that place. Take care of your asset. You understand? When you go outside, you pay for other things. You want LA Fitness to stay open, so you pay a monthly thing so that you can work out. Do you not do that? Yes. When you go to the library, your monies went to that. You understand? When the government offered all these little agencies and all these things, your money went to that. It's nothing really free. All right? So you build this. Some of you are part of sororities and fraternities. And some of y'all pay dues to that. You pay union dues here and there. But you're against paying some kind of due or something to the church. But you're part of fraternities and sororities. And you smash the church, but you do that. Y'all are hypocrites. Stop talking about the church. These people are deciding. I'm talking about the ones who are deciding to freely give to a building because they want to come out of the cold. And they built this place. It's beautiful in there, and they hired musicians, and they got praise teams and all this stuff. And it's lovely. It's a party. Let us have that. That's our asset. Yes, just like you pay for the services at LA. Come on, take care of your asset. That's yours. All right? So if you decide to take your stimulus check, listen and watch this about the stimulus check. Whether you need that check or not, it's coming to you. You understand what I'm saying? You could be making $100,000 a year through this whole pandemic, and you still going to get $1,200. Whether you like it or not, it's coming to you. Take it. And continue to support the church. That's yours. Why would you let it fall if you can afford it? Let it continue to pay for the lights, the mortgage, the salaries. That's yours. Don't let nobody talk you away from that. Don't let nobody tell you that worship, you idol worship because it's not on Saturday. I believe that the Sabbath is Saturday as well. But don't let nobody take you away from your asset that you built. That's yours. That's your business. The reason why the people are upset is because y'all are teaching in the Bible that it is compulsory, that you got to do it or you're going to be cursed with a curse and your car going to explode and you're going to lose your lights and your car going and people, they even told you you're going to get sick and die and all that kind of stuff. That's what these people are saying. Stop teaching that. Stop doing that. That is heresy. That is against the law of God. The law of righteousness, that law I'm talking about. Stop doing that. The people should give because they want to give. They love. They'll come together, and that's their asset. Let them pay for it. So I'm talking to both of you who are against Sunday worship, and I'm talking to you who are for Sunday worship. But both of y'all, sometimes y'all are at two extremes. Let those people pay for that building. They decided to do that out of the kindness of their heart. There's many people who worship on Sunday in these buildings, and they know they're only doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. They know they're not against no curse. They know they're not under that Malachi stuff. They know they're not under that stuff. They're just giving it. And then when they don't have it, they don't give it. And they know that the asset will continue. You understand? Now, if you cannot afford to use that stimulus check, $1,200, to give to that church, do not give that church no portion of that money. I said it. Thank you, Sheila. 2 Corinthians 9 and 6. Understand what I'm saying? I said it. If that $1,200 is all you got coming in right now, you take that money and you make sure you put it in your house. Chuck Longstreet. One of the greatest DJs in Chicago. All right? Did you hear what I'm saying? Did you hear what I'm saying? Did you hear what I'm saying? If you're not paying your lights and your gas and your mortgage and your rent or your car note, or you're not feeding your kids and all that stuff at home, and you get ready to take some of that money and put it in the church, you are a sinner. You are worse than an infidel. God gonna get you. That money belongs to your wife. It belongs to your husband. It belongs to your children. And it belongs to your debtors. Do you hear what I'm saying? That money that's coming in, that's all you got. that money belonged to your landlord, not the church building. That money belonged to the bank, the mortgage company. That money belonged to Commonwealth Edison. That money belonged to People's Gas and Alcor. That money belongs to your house. It don't belong to the church. That building. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm talking to you leaders, you pastors, you trustees. If that is the only money they got coming in and they don't know if they're going to receive any more money, they are now considered the poor. And they are now qualified to receive. Thank you. Who was that said that? Rose. Because they ain't paying your rent, the church. The church ain't paying your rent. They're not going to bail you out. The church will not, because they cannot bail you out. All right? So that $1,200, I told y'all what to do with that. Put it in a high interest rate bank. Online banks are the ones, not the ones that brick and mortar, but them online banks, they pay 1 and 2% interest rate. Put that money away if you can. If you can. But if not, you take that and allot it. You call your bill collectors, tell them it's going to be a little while, help me out. They're working with you right now, but do not give that money to the church house. Don't do it. Now, whose fault would that be if that church fold? It's the church's fault. It's the corporation's fault because it's a corporation. You got trustees in that building. If y'all saying that church is not a business, then why do you have a charter? Why do you have a trustees board? Huh? Why do you have bylaws if that wasn't a business? Huh? Tell me. You understand what I'm saying? Marcy, go to my show. What was the name of my show when I talked about what to do with your monies? Somebody will find it for me. Okay, I gave a couple banks. One was American Express online. The other one was Allied Bank online. The other one was Discovery Bank online. There's a couple more banks. Okay, great interest rates. Do the work. Do the study. Okay? All right, now. So they can't bail you out. They're not. Because it's a business. Now, if the church folds, none of those people in there are in trouble. You know why? Here's why. Because it's a business and it is registered as a non-for-profit or like a S-corp, all right, or a limited liability. It's not a sole proprietorship. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So if the church folds, the building, if you lose the building, they ain't coming after you individually. You understand what I'm saying? They can't because it is a corporation. And you sue the corporation, but you can't sue the individuals in the corporation because you are sheltered from being sued. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if they can't come to you individually, that means that church is a business. So if it's shut down, you're okay. Your money okay. Y'all can come together and find a way to build another one. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? You so worried about that building shutting down, you should be worried about your house shutting down. So that stimulus check is yours to do whatever you want to do with it. And if you want to give monies from that check to your asset, then do that if you can afford it. Again, some of you did not lose your job. Some of you were not furloughed, all right? You did not lose your job. You're still working every day, making the same thing. So continue to give to your asset. That's yours. Try to help it to stay afloat. So when this is all over, it'll never all be over. You go back in there and worship in there like nothing happened. Do that. But if you cannot afford to do it, pay your bills. Now, I'm preparing a show where I'm going to teach the church what they can do to continue to keep the doors open, how to invest. I'm going to do a show to teach the church how to invest so that when this happens again, you don't have to worry when the people can't pay their tithe and their offerings. Because you, churches, if you've been leaning only on tithe and offerings to survive, I'm talking about the church building on Sunday, if that's what you've been leaning on only to survive, you're the fault. You're the problem. You got no other investments? that church got no other investments but tithe and offerings, that's your fault. If the church folds, the business is registered as a non. Come on. You as an individual are sheltered from being sued. Come on, Pitts. Come on. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? The grants from where, okay, most grants usually have a number of strings attached with. Okay, hey, Marisol, I tagged you, by the way. I'm going to have to go back and read y'all stuff. I can't read it now. All right? What was I saying? I was saying something. I don't remember what I was saying. Amber put on there my show I did on what to do with your money. Okay? Oh yeah. I was saying the church. Let me tell y'all something. Lutheran churches are not going to hurt as much as y'all. Marisol said, yeah, I know you did. You know why I tagged you, and I tagged Kendra too. I tagged you on this show because I got tired. Lutheran churches ain't going to suffer as much. Presbyterian churches are not going to suffer as much as the Black Pentecostal. Do y'all know why? Huh? Do y'all know why? Huh? Do y'all know why? Y'all ask for my Cash App? Sirwalterj. Sirwalterj. Because I just helped y'all out. Do y'all know why? Y'all are fighting over, should I pay from my gross or from my net tithe? Should I tithe from my gross or should I tithe from my net? Here's the problem. If you tithe properly, you wouldn't have to worry about should you tithe from your net or your gross. If you're tithing by the Old Testament, there was no fight over should I tithe by gross and net. They never fought over that. They knew what the law said on how this tithe. Today we're fighting over net. Do I tithe on my gross? Do I tithe on my taxes? Do I tithe on my child support? Do I tithe? You asking all these questions. You know why you're asking all these questions? Because they've been teaching tithe so wrong, you're confused now on how to tithe. Because it was never taught right. Never. It never was. All right? So, Presbyterian church ain't going to suffer as much. Y'all know why? I lived in South Dakota. I used to play periodically for the Lutheran, Presbyterian, and the Catholic churches. And the reason why they're not going to suffer as much as Pentecostals are is because they have investments. They don't just lean on tithe and offerings. Matter of fact, many of them don't lean on tithe at all. They don't collect tithe. You know why? They don't need it. They don't need it. They laugh at us. They don't need it. They say, wait, you mean tell me y'all making these people do this? Oh, we don't need that. Number one, they have a custom of giving online. They had that custom years before the pandemic. They always had that custom. They just gave online. And when they went to church, they didn't have to take up time. And if they took up an offering, it lasted 1 minute. That's it. They were done. Number two, they had investments all over the city. They invested in property. And they build homes and they build businesses and what have you. The churches. And they got they have what they call it when you retire. They have retirement plans for the workers. Marisol says God is supposed to get the first fruits, and the dollar amount on our check is not the first fruit. Marisol, when did you come here? Did you come here in the early part? Yeah, Marisol, I love her. So now the people can figure out if they should tithe off of their income tax. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So, Paul Rogers. I have a friend who worked in the accounting department at a Lutheran church, and they have plans. They have 401k plans. They have again, what's the retirement plan? What they call it when you work on your job forever and then you retire? What do they call it? We make people feel guilty into paying tithes and offerings. Yeah, Charlie, man. What is it? What y'all call that? Oh, you came in like 30 minutes ago? Yeah, you missed the beginning. So don't type no more, Marisol. Don't type no more. Just type amen from now on until you go back to the beginning. Thank you. Pensions. Yes, pensions, Lonnie. Yes, they have IRAs and Roth accounts. Come on. the dollar amount of the checks is after Uncle Sam already took his cut. Okay. Yeah, retired smart. Pensions, yes. Lutherans, Presbyterians, Catholics got retirement plans and pensions and all kind of stuff. Roth IRAs and all this. Can you think of any cogent, apostolic, Baptists? They're doing it actually. The Baptists, they're doing it. Especially them Southern Baptists. They got it together. Can you think of these Pentecostal churches that got that kind of plan? I can't really think of many. 403Bs and all right, they got college funds and all that stuff. They got all that in place. I can't even think of any of these churches of Pentecostal, especially black churches, that got those plans. Some churches own property and are renting them out to community members so that they are displaced. Yes, Marisol, that's my whole point. So these other persuasion churches, they actually have investments. They got properties. They got businesses all over the place, so they don't have to rely on tithe and offerings. Y'all are scared right now because everybody I hear who are defending this says, how is the church going to survive without the tithe? That question right there tells me something. Can y'all tell me what that question tells me? Especially these gentrified areas where people are yeah, Marisol, I told you to be quiet. Didn't I tell you just say amen? Huh? Again, answer me this question, because I know I've been on here an hour and 30 minutes probably by now. Why is it that these defenders say the same thing in harmony? How can the church survive if they don't pay their tithes? When thousands of other denominations out there don't even live on the tithe. Huh? Charlie said, stuck in a cycle of non-changing. Exactly. That's exactly it. And notice, it's always dark color skinned folks who say, we can't survive without the tithe. They even put it in songs. They wasn't doing right about the tithes and offerings in the beginning. No, they wasn't. They wasn't, Francis. Yep, that's it. So here we are. Corona exposed the church. They never have church meetings to know where all the funds been. Yeah, I'm trying to tell y'all, Corona exposed the church. So now, here's what's getting ready to happen. When the church doors open again, many of them will never open. I need you to know that. Many churches, like businesses, will fold. They cannot survive 1 month with the churches being shut down. They can't. Poor management. That's right. Many of the churches rejected technology. You understand? Many of the churches decided we're not going to use Givelify and PayPal, and we don't trust Square and all this stuff. We don't trust that stuff. We give the old-fashioned way, do checks, and then people come to the church. Okay, they have put so much stock in doing it that way that they rejected Facebook Live, they rejected Instagram, they rejected Zoom and all this stuff. They rejected MySpace. They rejected the internet. They rejected all this stuff. They said, no, we're going to operate this way. This is the way. Hello, walls, and y'all pitching pennies out there and say amen. And y'all dancing to Elvis Presley, and they're using all these 1940s and 50s statements and things like that. And y'all going to the jit joint. Y'all going to the jit joint last night. Who goes to the jit joint? You know, they're saying that same old country bumpkin sayings, and they rejected the technology of the day. And guess what's happening right now? You're seeing videos pop up of pastors in his basement with a sign in the back that says the man cave. He put on his robe and he's singing, and his own DJ. Hey, let's see. And in his phone is this way, and he hello, everybody. Say amen. I can't hear nobody pray. All right. He don't know what to do. He rejected the technology of the day. Now he's in a quagmire, and now he can't reopen the church because the people rejected the technology. So now they can't hear him. They can't hear him. They don't know how to sign on Facebook. They got track phones, and they got the jitterbug. Wait, hold up. It's Sunday, okay? It's Sunday. The saints are at home. It's. I sure wish Pastor was here. Somebody told me about book face. Book face. Hold on. I think Sister Slowfoot know about. Let's see. Hey, Sister Slowfoot. Yeah, you know I sure miss our pastor. I sure miss that choir. I sure. Hey, I hear about this new technology called book face. Can you tell me about that? Girl, I don't know nothing about that. My daughter, she 15. She know about it. Put your daughter on the phone. I'll wait. Hey. Listen, me and your mama trying to figure out how to get on the book face. We need a phone. I got a phone right here. I open it up. It's a jitterbug. Yeah, jitterbug. How you get on the book face though? I can't see my face. Okay. Now I should go where now? Where's the www at on my phone? Huh? I don't see Okay, wait, hold on. I see 9. The number 9 is got a W next to that. Should I press that? Hold on, daughter. Hold on. www. It's just saying 999. Huh? You want me to send you a picture of my phone? And so you can see it? Okay. How do I take a picture of the phone? Hold on. Can you see it now? Can you see my phone? You can't see through this? You can't see? That's the way it is. I mean, I'm trying to tell y'all. I might have went I might have taken it to another level, but I'm telling you, that's what's going on right now. Operator, can you plug me into the book face? I want to see my pastor. I sure miss him. Hello? Yeah. So that's what's happening right now. These churches will never recover. That's the first issue of that government phone. Yo, I got a whole bunch of them phones. I got a whole bunch of them. Yeah, I already did that show. Okay. I ain't gonna do it. I got a whole bunch of them phones. Okay. So, as I close, what do you do now? Churches, when they open the doors again and the people come back, here's what's going to happen. Everybody's not coming back. Number one. Number two, they're fearful to come back. They're afraid. They don't want to touch your neighbors. All right? So it's going to be hard bringing them back into the fold. Number three, they got used to 1-hour services on Facebook and Zoom. They got used to 1 hour. You can't have long services no more. Rona killed that. This steak for the belly. Boy, oh boy. All I can see in the spirit realm is the feet of cognitive dissonance running for the border. Yeah. They're not coming back. Okay? All right? And so no more 2-hour services. No. They're used to 1 hour. That's it. You understand what I'm saying? I gave you my answer. Shut up, Annette. All right? 1 hour. Okay? And they're going to find another place to go. And which means you may have to close your doors totally. All right? Your time is up. You're the weakest link. Goodbye. All right? It's over for you. It's over for some of you. It's over. Join forces with another church. If you got to worship on Sunday in a building, join forces with another church and humble yourself before the Lord, okay? Because you didn't plan. You understand? You didn't understand Joseph's dream when he told Pharaoh, plan for 7 years of famine. You didn't, and you rejected the technology, and here you are. All right, now, if you succeed through this famine, that's what this is, and your doors open, here's what you do next, and I'm going to prepare a show for all of that, is you call financial advisors. Your show isn't the answer. Your show will be longer than most churches. Here's what you do. You call financial advisors in that church. All right? Pay them. I'm sorry. Pay them. But don't charge the members for it. Pay them. Bring them in there and require your members throughout the week to sit, and he's going to tell you how to invest individually and as a whole. You understand what I'm saying? Now, next person you bring in is a clinician, herbalist. I don't know what y'all call them. All right, bring in a doctor, bring in a nurse, bring in an LN, RN, element of P. Bring them in. Bring them in. Okay, have them sit with your members and teach them how to eat healthy. Bring in a physical therapist if you have to. Bring in a body a coach. What you call those people who you pay to help you work out? All right, bring in a coach. You understand? Some of you have places in your church is big enough. There's a room where you can make a room to work out in. You mean the church should pay for services? What you say? Okay, bring them in. Thank you, nutritionist and clinician. Yeah, bring them in. All right. So all these people should be coming in there, bumping into each other. The financial advisor is bumping into the nurse, and the nurse is bumping into the doctor, and the doctor is bumping into the nutritionist, and they're bumping into each other. They coming in and out. The physical trainer, thank you, fitness instructor, yes, they're bumping into each other, coming in and out of your churches, coming in and out of your churches. Guess what's going to happen in 1 year's time? Guess what's going to happen in 1 year? 1 year. Guess what's going to happen to your people? Number one, you probably paid your mortgage off in that 1 year and it'll be paid off. Okay. Number two, you're going to have buildings, you're going to have structures, you're going to have property and land all over the place. Number three, you're going to have investments here and there, whether it's in the market, stock market, whether it's the pension plans, you're going to have all that stuff. Number four, your people are going to start losing weight. All these obese worship leaders and alto section and choir, okay, all these obese people are going to start dropping like this over 1 year's time. They're going to be dropping like this, dropping. They're going to start looking more healthy, all right? They're going to be less people at the altar because of cancer and high blood and hypertension and renal failure and all this stuff. Going to be less people at the altar saying, please pray for me. Going to be less people, all right? And all this stuff is going to happen, and before you know it, your church is going to be a model for the whole neighborhood. Yes, if you do this, once the doors open. If you don't want to take Sirwalterj's advice, then I'm sorry. I will wipe the dust from my feet and keep it moving. God, I thank you for your presence. I thank you for your blood. I thank you for your anointing. I thank you for these people here who are listening and watching. They will spread the news, or they will not. Some will, some won't. So what? I must move on. God, I thank you for giving us the wisdom to know what to do during this time. Heal us, oh God, even in our ignorance. Heal us. We are sorry. Heal us so that we could go back to you and say, oh God, I am sorry. We're returning to our first love. We're doing our first works over. And we're going back out there like we did when we first got saved. We were so excited about salvation. We told everybody, and then we got caught up. God, help us to return back to the first day I met you. Go back to the first moment, the first hour, the first moment that I saw you and met you, and you changed my life. I want to go back to that day. Bring us there, God. We love you. And I know you're going to take us through this thing, and you're going to heal our land, and then the church will go out there. It may only be remnants, but we're going out there full force like fire, and many will be saved because of this, and there will be joy after this. In Jesus' name, I pray. Thank God. Amen. Hey, 53 of you left, hit the share button. If 53 of you hit the share button, the teaching of tithing and investment will be spread throughout the world. YouTube, go ahead and share it, y'all. Go ahead and keep commenting and bring up our algorithm so that people can be informed that there's a tall, skinny, big nose with 4 eyes, brother, dark and lovely, I had to put that in there, who's teaching and preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and in a way that my pastor ain't doing it. Maybe he is doing it. There are some preachers who have been a blessing to me that I've been seeing come on and talking about what you need to do. Man, where is that? Some people were inboxing me some of their messages, and it has been a blessing. I wish I can find it quickly. I sure wish I was prepared to do this. And it was really good. One was, I think, Paul Morton's, the young man who took Paul Morton, who was a church. He didn't take it. I mean, he was next in line. Is that his name? What is his name? Who else? Noel Jones gave some good advice. Who else? There's some few preachers who were giving great advice on what you need to do, and they were repenting that they had been teaching this thing for so long, and now they're telling you what the church is responsible for, what they were doing. And I want to pull that up, and I'll find a way to pull that in. All right, y'all. Please sow in the Walter's ministry. Oh wow! Thank you, Paul Rogers, and so many of you thank my cousin Paul. He sold in my ministry. I was like, wow, look at this. This is a blessing. And every now and then I'll see ting. Somebody gave me something, and they'll put in the description why they gave it to me. All right. And again, I don't beg people for money. I don't. I just love to give. So many times when y'all give to my Cash App, I turn around and give some of that money to my children. My son is raising his son in Atlanta, Georgia. All right. And this pandemic hit him hard. Like me, he's an entrepreneur, and it hit all of his streams. Because remember, I told y'all to have different streams. Well, it hit all his streams because he's in the gig economy like I am, and it hit all his gig streams. All right. And he got to pay rent like I do. And he got a brand new, my grandson is only a few months old, and that thing hit him. And so every time I see something come in, I go, phew, I send that money right to my son, and I send it right to my grandson and the mama. All right, I make sure that I can do what I can for my babies. Now my daughter have been a blessing to me, because blessing to me and herself, that is, because she worked for a children's what do you call it? They're watching your kids while you at work. Okay, daycare. She worked for a daycare. The Lord blessed my daughter because now that daycare is owned by one woman, one black woman, who has been a blessing to the community. She's a wealthy woman, and she hired all these people. She hired my daughter. My daughter has a degree in this thing, and so she hired my daughter. So my daughter only been working there for a couple months. And they shut that place down. When the state shut down, they shut that place down. But guess what? They told everybody who's at work today, she says, you had to have been at work today. If you're at work today, I will pay you as long as the government is shut down. She said, I got to do it. All right. So this woman is not getting any money in because the kids are not there. But she continues to pay her workers. So my daughter still gets paid for being off. All right. So the Lord blessed my house because my daughter she's got school loans to pay. Thank God that the government put a stop on the student loans until September, I think. But they're coming back. All right. So the Lord blessed that. So when the monies come in, I find out who is in need. All right. So I send the money to my son. I send it to my grandson for diapers and quilts and food and what have you. I pay my bills. All right. I got bills like y'all do because the gig economy, I got hit as well because of this shutdown. So I can't do some of the things that I do. So, I'm surviving the best way I can like y'all do. So when you do send me money in the Cash App, you best believe that money goes to either something that I need so that I can continue this ministry, or I send it to somebody in need. All right? And it's blessing them. Even if it's buying them some bread, it's blessing them. All right? Okay. No, I can't loan no money, y'all. I ain't got enough money to loan any money. I can't do it. So I can't loan money. But I'm giving whatever I can. Because when they open up the government, y'all, 15, almost 20 million people filed for unemployment. It's bad. It's bad out there. And somebody is not working. So if you can, I told my daughter, I told her 2 days ago, I said, send some money to your nephew. Just send some money. The Lord has blessed you. every now and then send some money to your nephew. He need Pampers. She said, oh yeah, oh I got you, Pops. Send the money, y'all. Do what you can. Logan, Gianna, I never could say your first name. How you pronounce it? Logan, out of the blue, blessed me just out of the blue. She had blessed me a long time ago, but she had the wrong information. It was sitting there in limbo. And so the other day she says, your money's been sitting there. It's just been sitting there. And so I gave her the right information, and then there it was. I never met this girl. You understand? There's a lot of people out there. I never met them. But they have been blessing the ministry. So, again, I don't do these shows so y'all can pay me. I sure don't. YouTube, though, the YouTube algorithm, if y'all continue to comment on the algorithm in YouTube and hit the like button or the down button, up button, or anyway, the thumbs, it don't matter. The algorithm will jump, and then YouTube will send me a check. It's about that big, but they'll at least send me a check because I'm working hard on that particular stream. And then there's Amazon that I'm working hard because, you know, it is what it is. I have my books over there. So some of you who don't want to just give through the Cash App, you can actually still just buy a book. The 4 Women That Men Desire by Sirwalterj. That's my book. It's selling on Amazon. And so if you gave money and you want something back, give to Amazon, and then Amazon will give me a small cut. All right, I love y'all. I went too long, but that's what I do. I got to check on the book of faith. Hey, baby. Hey, I can't sign on here. Hey, Alexa, say good night to the people.
Good night. Talk to you tomorrow.
Really? What if I want to talk to them tonight? Huh? I don't understand that. You just taking over. Anyway, at least I pay her bill, so she keep talking. Hey, hit the share button, will you please? I love y'all. And ain't nothing you can do about it.